Hey folks, how you doing? Dave McRae here. Okay, so it's been a pretty busy weekend for me, which is one of the reasons why I haven't done a video on this. But the other reason, of course, is you guys know me. I don't like to do videos unless there's something worthy of talking about, unless it's real news. Because if I talk about anything and everything, then I clearly don't have standards, which I clearly do. So, I wasn't going to do a video, but it is kind of news, but it's not news. And I'll explain further in just a moment. So now I didn't discover this news on my own because I haven't been online too much the last couple of days because I've been really busy. So you guys actually brought it to my attention, so I appreciate that. And that was, of course, a couple of days ago on the 1st of December, I think it was. News dropped that the new Halloween movie coming out next year is actually getting a PG-13 rating as opposed to a R rating. And when you guys brought that to my attention, my first instinct was, well, that's weird. Not because it's weird that a Halloween movie would have a PG-13 rating, but it's weird that there's an official rating at all, because they haven't even gone into production on the movie yet. And usually ratings are not given to films until well after the movie is complete, because people at the MPAA, which is the Motion Picture Association of America, have to sit down and watch the movie and then they give their official rating, right? Now, the Motion Picture Association of America, I believe, was established in the 60s. I think it was either the late 60s or early 70s. And there's something called the Classification Ratings Association, I think, or Classification Ratings Administration, something like that. It's an independent group made up of a bunch of parents. And their mission is to provide parents, essentially, the information they need to determine what their children can and cannot watch. Now, this, of course, is in the United States. The Motion Picture Association of America is for the United States. Many countries around the world can have different ratings. I mean, a rated R movie in the US isn't necessarily going to be rated R in Germany or in England or something to that effect. And because Canada and the United States are so interconnected with each other, and because our entertainment industries are so interconnected with each other, our release dates are the same for major motion pictures, by and large, whatever it's rated in the US, it will be rated the same here in Canada as well. So that was my first thought, was something that's not right. That's impossible. That there's something weird about that. Now, that doesn't mean that filmmakers, directors, writers, producers, actors, actresses, that doesn't mean they may not have an idea of what the movie might end up being rated, but at the end of the day, it's not up to them, and it's not really up to the studio, it's up to the MPAA, which is the Motion Picture Association of America. So when you guys were like, so Dave, what do you think of the new Halloween movie getting a PG-13 rating? I was like, my first thought was, that's impossible. And one of the reasons why I haven't responded to a lot of you guys is because I needed to check this out for myself. I needed to see, okay, what exactly is going on here? So this morning I did. I had a read through of the article that was an interview with Danny McBride, one of the writers, of course, on the new Halloween film. And, in the article, he's not really saying anything we don't already know. He's not really saying anything we haven't really suspected anyway. What I did see were a bunch of headlines saying something to the effect of new Halloween movie removing R-rated blood and gore, or blood and violence, or something like that. So I thought, okay. So what people have done here is that they're seeing this, and then there's social commentary from movie pundits or, your friends or people online all talking about it being watered down, and it's probably going to get a PG-13 rating, which translates into people getting in touch with me basically saying, so what do you think of the new Halloween getting a PG-13 rating? And that's not what the article says at all. You also have to understand, what is a PG-13 rating? What is involved? What is the criteria of determining when a movie gets a PG-13 rating? And what is the criteria involved in determining when a movie gets an R rating? What does it mean? What's the difference between the two? A bit of trivia for you, in case you didn't know. The very first movie to ever have a PG-13 rating was Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, which is my favorite Indiana Jones movie. I don't think it's the best Indiana Jones movie. I think that belongs to Raiders. But it's my favorite because I think it's the most fun and most crazy to watch. A little bit of trivia for you. But anyway, yeah, so what is the difference between PG-13 and rated R? Well, I'm going by memory here, but PG-13 is essentially given to movies, you can have nudity in a PG-13 film, but that nudity can't be related to anything sexual or sex. So you can't have a sex scene with a bunch of nudity, but you could feasibly have a woman taking off her top, you see her boobs, and she puts a new shirt on, or something like that, right? That could wind up in a PG-13 film. That's not, too much of a big deal. You can have some swear words, but they're very far and few between. So maybe you have, shit, at the beginning of the movie, and maybe you have maybe one F-bomb or asshole towards the end of the movie or something. It's very far and few between. The language, the 4-letter words in a PG-13 film have to be very far and few between. You also cannot have drug use, in a PG-13 film. And you cannot have any blood, guts, and gore in a PG-13 film. So you can have intense violence in a PG-13 film. You can have a lot of violence, a shitload of violence in a PG-13 film, just as long as you don't show any blood or any guts or gore, or, all that kind of stuff, right? I mean, folks, there are a ton of PG-13 movies out there with some serious violence in them. But basically what everybody's afraid of here is they're afraid that if Halloween is PG-13, that means that somehow it's going to be lame and boring and uninteresting, and, we're not going to see any kills, or we're not going to see, anything, substantially fun or exciting. Well, if you love John Carpenter's Halloween, if that is your favorite, horror movie, or if that is your favorite Halloween movie, or you really appreciate, the technique and style of the original Halloween, which is more of a suspense film than anything else. If you love the formula that Carpenter used for the original Halloween, then this is really good news for you. Okay, really good news. However, if you're somebody that loves Rob Zombie's films, or Halloween 4, or 5, or 6, or H2O, or Resurrection, although those films weren't nearly as bloody and gory as Rob Zombie's films, but if you're somebody that really likes the slasher element of Halloween, well, yeah, this is probably not good news for you. But that doesn't mean it's not going to be a good movie. That doesn't mean that it's not going to be exciting. That doesn't mean that it's going to be boring. All Danny McBride is saying is that we want to go back to the formula of what we believe is truly scary, the unknown, what you think you see, what you think you hear, building on the mood, building on the atmosphere, building on the suspense, the tension, and you can still have a shitload of violence. For all you Halloween fans out there that want violence, you can still have a ton of violence in this movie. It can still be intense and in your face and on the edge of your seat, but you're not going to see blood, guts, and gore. That doesn't mean you can't see a little bit of blood or, specks of blood. But no, is Michael going to be sitting there sawing off somebody's head? No, probably not. And that's okay, because it's completely unnecessary, in my opinion, to deliver a fantastic Halloween movie. Halloween is not built on its blood and its guts and its gore. It's built on its mystique, its mystery, its mood, its atmosphere, its autumn foliage, its music, its suspense, its tension. That's what makes a great Halloween movie. So if John Carpenter's Halloween was to come out today in 2017 or next year in 2018, it probably would still be rated R, but it would be a very soft rated R. I could totally see it being rated PG-13, but it wouldn't surprise me if it did get an R rating, but that R rating wouldn't be because of the blood or the violence in Halloween. It probably would be because of the brief moment we see Laurie and Annie smoking some marijuana, Linda's boobs in relation to the sex scene that we did actually see. That's probably where it would get its R rating. But it certainly wouldn't be because of any blood, guts, or gore, right? And Halloween, John Carpenter's Halloween, is considered the best of them all. It's considered the gold standard of the Halloween franchise, right? Maybe not for you, but I'm saying by and large, generally speaking, it is. So folks, when you look at the quote from Danny McBride, he's basically elaborating on what we already know and what we already thought anyway. I mean, there's really not new information here per se. He's elaborating on it, and he's confirming pretty much what we already expected, which is this is going back to the roots of John Carpenter's original Halloween, right? It's going to be tension-filled. It's going to be about suspense and mood and atmosphere, which is what Carpenter's original film was. You know, it's going to be about that slow burn, really building that tension up so you're on the edge of your seat all the way through. I'm all for it. I think that's great. You don't need blood and guts and gore and to make a great film. So you can't compare what they're doing with this new Halloween to what you've seen in Halloween 4 and 5 and 6 and H2O and Resurrection, and certainly not in any of Rob Zombie's films, right? And you probably can't even compare it to what they did in Halloween 2. Now, Halloween 2 is probably the tamest outside of the original, but compare Halloween 1 and Halloween 2, there's a lot more blood in Halloween 2. We see a lot more blood in Halloween 2 than we ever saw in Halloween 1. So I don't think this is a bad thing. And nowhere are they saying it's going to be a PG-13 movie. They're just saying they're removing a lot of the, you know, unnecessary, in their eyes, unnecessary blood and guts and gore and violence. We're going to go back to Carpenter's formula, right? It's going to be more of a psychological suspense film built around, you know, the formula of John Carpenter's original Halloween, which is what Halloween was anyway. I mean, look, I know it's considered a slasher movie, okay? But if that movie was to come out today, if John Carpenter's Halloween from 1978 were to be released today in 2017, it's not a slasher movie. It's not. Now, Halloween became a slasher series, but the original film, we're talking about John Carpenter's original Halloween, just that movie, because in this new timeline, that's all that exists. That movie is not a slasher movie. It was in 1978, right? But Psycho was considered a slasher in 1960. You release Psycho today, it's not a slasher movie, right? It's all relevant to the time period and what we're used to and what we've been, you know, exposed to and desensitized to, okay? So we have to put things in perspective here, that just because we're getting a potentially a PG-13 Halloween, that's not necessarily a bad thing. Basically, what I'm trying to say is that the violence part of John Carpenter's Halloween is not rated R today. So, as I've been mentioning throughout this video, if you're a big fan of that formula, if you're a big fan of John Carpenter's original Halloween, and you want to see that formula taken to the next level, modernized for today's audiences, bring it into 2018, this is really good news for you. If you're somebody that wants to see a lot of blood and guts and gore and the whole slasher aspect of the Halloween franchise, well, yeah, this is probably not good news for you. But for me, and for those of us who really appreciate the original, it's good news. And whether or not the movie gets a PG-13 rating is still very, very much up in the air. Anyways, folks, my name's Dave McRae. Comment below and let me know your thoughts about what I had to say. If you want to follow me on Facebook, you can at facebook.com/manythingsdavemcrae. McRae is M-C-R-A-E. Facebook.com/manythingsdavemcrae. Follow me there, folks, because when I'm not posting videos, I try to post there. So if I'm dormant here on YouTube and you're like, where the fuck is Dave? Go to my Facebook page, folks. That's where you can keep up to date with me. And yeah, I post as often as I can. But like I said, I'm a busy guy. So anyways, in the meantime and in between time, take care of yourselves and chill out. Everything's okay. It's a happy day. I wish I had you all alone. Just the two of us. Oh, that's kind of creepy. I don't even know who the fuck I'm talking to here. I'll talk to you guys soon. Cheers.